Kyoki and Malia are youngsters. What will life look like for them when they get to be 25 years old? So if they're 15 years old, that's only 10 years from now. If they're 5 years old, well, they've got more time. But if we start to look into their future, what life will look like for them, then we start to look 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, and start to figure out what it is that we can do to make life better for them, and we can do it.
Let's talk about your Modern-Day Ahupua'a project. So that's a project that you are working on to ultimately help make our lives on this island more sustainable. I want to explain first the definition of an ahupua'a in case someone out there doesn't know. That's a traditional division of land that starts from a point in the mountains and extends down pie-shaped through the land and into the ocean. And it means that all the people living on that ahupua'a, that land division, have access to the resources at all those different elevations. What is a modern-day ahupua'a? Are you trying to create a land division where you're using all the different resources but with technology, or what? Tell me exactly what the big picture is.
Yeah, modern-day ahupua'a, first of all, it's from the mountain to the ocean, utilizing the resources that you have there and trading. So what we have is water. Water runs downhill, just gravity. So how do we use it in a smart way where we can start to trade, to produce food, trade, and help the rest of the island food sustainability-wise, or as a demonstration project for other places on this island to copy as appropriate. So this is a demonstration project of what can be done to make ourselves self-sustaining, especially in food.
Isn't that great? And so I see you doing this as a sort of using the traditional idea of the ahupua'a and using the resources, but with modern day technology. How can we do that today in the best possible way? Am I on the right track?
Yes, you are. And I picked that up for Uncle Sonny. So here's Uncle Sonny doing that ancient way of surviving, but on his desk next to his kerosene lantern was a stack of U.S. News and World Report. And he used to listen to the extension agent really carefully. So he'd take a piece of California grass, stick it into the herbicide and pull it out and look and see if it's working. He didn't just take the formula. He actually looked at it to see if it worked. Then he showed me once where a little bit past noon, he said, come. And I went over there. He says, look over there. Oh, the melon flies. He used to grow watermelon. The melon flies in the middle of the day, they would collect under the leaves. And he just pull his can of raid and if you give him one squirt, control them that way instead of spraying the whole thing. So I learned a lot. It's that kind of thing. We have 2 springs on the property. Those springs are really special because even if there's a big flood, it doesn't flood everything. It increases in volume, depending on how long that rain has been going on. And at the same time, when it has a drought, it still flows. And on top of that, the temperature of the water is pretty stable. The salinity, the pH of the what's coming out of the water, pH, is pretty stable at 7.2, 7.3, something like that. And the mineral content is stable. So using that, you can start to plan what can you do with the water? How much do you have to add to it? What are the different technologies we can use to make the productivity as good as we can? And when we start to look at on Mauna Kea, for example, there's 9 climate zones. So when you take a look at it, you can study each one of those climate zones, depending on which way the wind is blowing, understand where the water is coming from, what the water resources underground if you do some exploring, and what's the effect on the ocean. There's a lot of things that can be done and should be done so that we can be the place in the world where all these different things can be studied. And if we are successful, and it's not a matter of if we are, we have to be.
Yeah, traditional knowledge plus technology can be a pretty powerful thing, I think, huh? Okay, let's talk about the Mauna Honua, or the Culture and Science Center Above the Clouds, which is another project of yours. What is the goal of creating that? Where will it be, and how will that help our future generations?
And the idea is to teach our youngsters, who their ancestors were. And this is not at all about race. It's everybody who makes Hawaii home to understand what is it that's so special about this place in the middle of the Pacific, the largest ocean in the world. And the people are sailing back and forth, just using their understanding of the sky, the stars and stuff like that. No telescopes, nothing. So if we were able to bring those students up there, maybe for 2 days, and just look at the sky, understand what it represented to the folks before them, then we could instill in them a sense of pride and, start to learn about what happened before, try to figure out what is the different things that we can do today with the idea of where do we want to be tomorrow. Tomorrow meaning generations from now, 1, 2, 3, 10 generations from now, and make that part of our school system. What we want to have is our youngsters to feel pride in their background and not worry about what happened before and feel like they're victims. Because if you're looking at that way, you're wasting your time. On the other hand, if they look at that and say, holy smokes, our ancestors apprentices are really smart. From there, then they can be the next leaders. So that's the whole objective of that, is to make them leaders. Because I know the same thing happened to me when I was in the third grade. My pop used to tell us stories, not no can, pound the table, all this kind of stuff. That's with me all my life. I was in the third grade. So if that didn't happen to me at that age, I might not understand it. But boy, I understand it very clearly how young kids can be affected.
That's great. And so is it right that this is being considered for the Hale Pōhaku level of Mauna Kea?
What we would like to see is to utilize the dormitories up there, as part of the public education system, so that they can learn from there, because it exists right now. And the scientists don't really use it that much because they're on the computers. They really don't need to spend, like they used to before. So this would be a way of utilizing that, I think, to a really good purpose.
So you're seeing schools regularly taking school kids up there and putting them through a program where they're learning about the past and the present and the future. Is that right?
And then the reason for it is, I'm working with Brittany Zimmerman on a class for young potential scientists. Yeah. Now, when I look at that, I mean, it's great for our students to be able to go up there, but we're only talking about 30 students, maybe. What we need to be talking about is all of the rubber slipper kids, everybody. And how do we figure that out? It's a complex problem, but I'm pretty sure people can figure this out.
It's an interesting idea. On our episode next week, we're going to be talking specifically about geothermal energy. So we'll talk about that at more length, but will you give us just a short version on why geothermal can be such a game changer here in Hawaii?
Yeah, and it takes energy to do work. So when you think about that, it's GDP, everything has to do with energy. And the energy that you have is very specific to the place that you live in. Now, in our place, we have 5 volcanoes on this island, and there's geothermal energy under all of them. It'll last practically forever, 1 million to 2 million years. No matter what happens, if the other sources of energy gets short, geothermal will still be there. So it's a resource that we're really lucky to have.
Yeah. I know you started this Keoki and Malia initiative, and you're running some of your projects under that group, with Keoki and Malia representing all of our grandchildren and their grandchildren in the future here in Hawaii. How can people get involved if they want to help or learn more about these things that you're doing under Keoki and Malia?
Well, on the website, people can go there who want to participate. And, we've got other things too, like we have this sampan bus that we're putting together. That'll be fun, because then, what we want to do is to go out and talk to a whole bunch of different nonprofits and see how is it that we can work together. There's so many nonprofits trying to do so many things for so many people. If we can all get together some way to help each other out, I think that'll be a really good thing.
Great point. Thank you, Richard. We will talk again soon for what are going to be weekly episodes here on this new YouTube channel, What Would Our Kupuna Do? And we will also be following along as your sampan bus is being restored. So that'll be fun. So we'll go into more about that on an upcoming episode as well. If you would subscribe to this channel and like this video, we would appreciate it. And thank you, Richard. Ahui ho, everybody.